Welcome back, viewers. You're watching the Savera and I'm Shefali. As of August 1, a new 25% tariff on a broad range of Indian imports to the United States has officially taken effect. The announcement made by US President Donald Trump via his social media platform Truth Social has drawn considerable attention due to timings and the broader geopolitical context in which it was introduced. The move is positioned as a response to what has been described as long-standing imbalances in the bilateral trade relationship between the United States and India. Among the key concerns raised are India's high tariff structures and non-tariff barriers, which some in the US have argued limit equitable access to the Indian market for American businesses. The announcement referred these concerns, characterizing India's trade environment as particularly restrictive when compared to global norms. In addition to trade-related issues, the statement drew attention to India's ongoing defense and energy partnerships with the Russian Federation. Now, these ties, particularly significant given to continued conflict in Ukraine, have prompted criticism from segments of the US political landscape. The president expressed concern over India's continued procurement of Russian military equipment and large-scale purchase of Russian energy, suggesting that such engagements may be at odds with broader Western efforts to diplomacy and economically isolate Moscow. While the statement acknowledged India as a partner and long-time ally, it also reflected a growing view in certain US policy circles that the strategic and economic relationships require recalibration, particularly in light of evolving global dynamics. Scope of the tariff and pending reviews. The newly implemented 25% covers a wider array of Indian exports, though some notable exceptions remain. For instance, smartphones manufactured and exported from India are currently exempt from the measure under Section 232 of the US trade law, which permits certain exemptions on national security grounds. However, this exemption is not guaranteed to remain in place. A formal review process has been scheduled for later this month to assess whether smartphones and potentially other electronics should also be bought under the new tariff regime. Depending on the outcome, India's bargaining electronics export sector could face significant headwinds. Implications for bilateral trade and global supply chains. Now, the new tariff structure introduces fresh uncertainty into US-India trade relations, which has seen growth and friction in recent years. India has been one of the fastest growing trade partners for the US, particularly in the fields of pharmaceuticals, textiles, IT services, and electronics. Any broad-based tariff escalation could have ripple effects not just in these sectors, but also across global supply chains in which India plays a critical role as an alternative manufacturer based to China. Moreover, this development could impact broader diplomatic engagement between the two countries. Both governments have in recent years worked to deepen cooperation in areas such as defense, digital technology, and climate change. While the US administration has not yet issued a formal policy statement in response to the president's announcement, it is likely that the issue will feature in future trade and strategic dialogues between Washington and New Delhi. Looking ahead, as the review process continues and both governments respond to the changing trade environment, the coming weeks are expected to offer more clarity on the scope and permanence of these tariffs. Observers will be watching closely to see how India reacts, both in terms of formal trade policy and broader strategic alignment. The decision could influence not only US-India relation, but also the wider international conversation around trade, geopolitical partnerships, and economic nationalism. That's all for now on this update. Stay tuned to the Savera, download the app, and follow us on various social media platforms.